Thank you. Yep. The objective of this talk is to basically tell a story, as I say at the bottom. We have a Friday morning group, and even before that, David Slaney and I and others said, yeah, we have germicidal UV sources to disinfect the air and surfaces. But once it's installed, how do we know it's correctly installed? This is particularly true for upper room, but it could be for whole room as well. What we need is some sort of a methodology for inspecting and certifying these installations, and also take care of things for maintenance. If you notice the lifetimes of these lamps, they're on the order of 10,000 hours or less. If they're on all the time, that's once a year, almost. If you go for 5 years and nobody looked at the system, it's likely that there's no output. And and you can't see UV, so there's very difficult to know unless among someone in training. So we discussed this when I asked to see if there was a way to do that, and they said, well, they didn't say no, but we never came to a conclusion. So, but in the Friday morning group that started with the pandemic, which also created, actually this ICFUST conference comes out of the Friday morning group that meets, because David Brenner and you and Edie and Kenny and all these people participate. I participate too, but I'm a lighting engineer. So I kind of got pulled into that, and it's been a very good thing. But in trying to figure out then how do we, at least one of the elements that prevent the system to be used is that there's not a good methodology for training people to put them in place. Even the manufacturers may not be fully knowledgeable about this, and there's almost no maintenance. Along the way, on Friday morning, Don Milton, who's not here, but he wanted to do that from the University of Maryland Public School of Health, came in one day in 2022, and I think it was in the summer, and said, hey, we have some possibility of funding through the Bowlby Foundation. Bowlby's funding quite a few things in UV, but he says what they're interested in funding, providing some help. So does anybody want to propose something? So we proposed that we do this, and I sort of, with some hesitation, said, okay, I'll take and head that up. So Paul Jensen and I wrote a proposal for a grant from them. That grant was more or less accepted. So we had funding to do something. Now what are we going to do? And well, first thing is we need education materials. What are we going to teach these people who are going to not only install but figure out how many units and so forth and so on? These are technicians mostly. They don't necessarily have a college degree, certainly not a PhD, and they may or may not know much about lighting. So it turned out that Paul, David, and I in the Friday morning groups are the only old guys who were free to do this work. That means we're retired, some of us way past retirement. But so we decided, we broke up the material into what became 8 chapters that we could write, and you see the chapters there. I won't go through them all. Actually, we added chapter 9, which is on design of installations. We got together and spent, I think, we went to Paul's house and spent a couple days, and then we went to David's house a few months later. So we came up with the material. We wrote the material, wrote the PowerPoints for these materials for training. PowerPoints were then recorded and transcribed. So this material is now available on the University of Maryland site, control site. So, okay, now we have the material. How do we go about doing something with it? So, this brings in the other essential part of it. This is how NALMCO got involved. You see the Three Stooges there at a NALMCO meeting. I'll prove it. Point here, NALMCO is National Association of Lighting Maintenance Companies. So you got lighting maintenance. Well, okay, UV lighting maintenance is not that much different. And with the help of Eric Ennin, who's here. If you don't know Eric, when everybody stands up, he's the tallest guy here. So, but he really worked with us very well. We went to 2 NALMCO meetings to see how we could do this. And so and we developed certification plans for the material through NALMCO. And so as a industry first certification for germicidal UVC. So what we did is there are 3 levels. First 2 are technicians that we want to train, apprentice technicians and senior ones. The difference is basically the apprentice works under the instruction all the time of either some senior person, but he does most of the grunt work. He maybe puts things on the wall, does the wiring, he uses the meter to check things out, but obviously he doesn't make decisions that much. But there's equipment testing, you see all the kind of things that are involved, especially for the senior UV tech training. The apprentice doesn't have any. The way we've laid it out, and NALMCO has helped lay it out, is that the apprentice is all online training. Those 8 chapters are taken, and a test is taken at the end of the training once, and they become certified as an apprentice. For the senior technician, he also has to go through hands-on training, which I say at the bottom. So this is the plan that we have, and NALMCO, with the help, came up with nice certificates. So once you've gone through the training, they put your name on there and they send you the certificate. So the silver one is for the apprentice, and the gold one's for the senior technician. And then the management professional. This is the guy we want to train, who basically, the training material is more or less the same, but there are some extra things that are needed. He has to particularly understand the safety issues. He needs to understand what proper maintenance is, how to place it. You know, he does the design necessarily. Maybe he does the design of the room and so forth. So there are 3 levels then, with the management professional at the top of the heap, and he also gets a design certificate. So this is the program that the 3 of us helped write, but actually NALMCO put in place. And we've had the benefits of certification, obviously, is for a facility that has these devices, either both for installation but for maintenance. Usually they're not very well trained to take care of this kind of problem. So the benefits of certification are that you have qualified staff, and there are financial benefits. You can do audits, you know, the safety, so all kinds of benefits from certification. And we have also, through NALMCO, unique industry collaboration with ASHRAE, with IUVA, with the IES. NALMCO has I don't know what you call it, the collaboration. So they're officially joined so that they can work with these industries to also have their certification used by these industries. And of course, there's NALMCO. NALMCO provides collaboration through these organizations. We have the training program. We have all the things put in place. where we are now is trying to get the training done. We have had 2 hands-on training sessions at the University of Maryland to train the trainers, we call it. So that 2 of those were last year, and we have 1 3-day training session scheduled at the university for the month of August, I think the 3rd week in August this year. So if any of you are interested or have people in your, at least in the U.S., to have people come to this, please get a hold of one of us. And particularly, this is, we basically work together. Paul Jensen is really kind of the lead person in terms of setting up the training sessions. And so I think we're pretty well set to make this work. We need more funding, I think, or University of Maryland, NALMCO need to coordinate how the funding is done, but so far that's working pretty good. And so that's kind of it for now. We hope to make progress. I don't know if it would benefit Europe to have a similar kind of program, or if you have capability. Don't really know what the situation is here, but I think it's going to work pretty well in the States. And maybe European companies can come to that too. So, thank you.